Hey everybody, it's Judy Klock, your independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Middletown, Virginia. Look at this hair. Can you tell that it's raining today? So it is actually Wednesday morning. I am pre-taping this because tomorrow I will be very busy getting ready for Stampalooza on Friday. So I wanted to make sure that I had time to get this video tutorial done so that it would be loaded and ready for you Thursday evening. So if you're watching me, obviously on replay, because I'm not live, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. And today I have for you 2 cards featuring the beautiful Autumn Leaves stamp set and the matching dies. This was a carryover from last year's catalog, and I still really like it. So I wanted to use it to just kind of get some fall themed, Thanksgiving themed cards going. So let's take a look. We're going to do 2 techniques today using this bundle. So the first technique we're going to use is a watercoloring technique. And this is one of the techniques that I will be demonstrating on Saturday at Stampapalooza, because I'm doing the wonders of watercoloring. So I'm teaching several different watercoloring techniques. And this is just a really simple technique that really anybody can use using a clear block. So stay tuned. It's a lot of fun. And then the next one is this is an older one. This is a Joseph's coat, but we're going to do a different technique on, instead of using that black, we're going to use that early espresso and just kind of make those fall leaves really kind of pop off the paper. So let's go ahead and get started. I need to find one more little thing that I put in my bag of tricks. See, I'm already packing for Stampalooza, and one of the things I need, I put into this bag, and now I can't find it in my bag of tricks. I'm looking for my water spritzer. I have my alcohol spritzer, but I don't see my water spritzer. There it is. We're going to need this for our first card. As always, these dimensions will be written down in my blog post, my corresponding blog post. And after this video is done and the blog post is ready, I will go ahead and post the link down below in the description. So it will be there. So no need to worry about stressing and getting measurements. But our base is going to be copper clay. It is 8.5 by 5.5. I've scored it at 4 1/4, and I just love this color for fall. Then I've got a piece of our very vanilla. It's 5 1/4 by 4. That's going to go on the inside. Then I took a scrap piece and I die cut a sentiment label that we're going to use. And then I have a piece of our Fluid 100 watercolor paper. Now this one I did cut to size. This is 3 3/4 by 5. But if you wanted to make it a little bigger and then just trim it down, you can. But I just cut it to size because I'm just going to go ahead and get started with this. So the first thing I want to do is I am going to take one of my big blocks. This is, I believe, the I block. Okay, and I'm going to take pumpkin pie and crushed curry. Okay, I'm going to take these 2 and let's see if I can do this. I did just ink these up, so hopefully. So I'm going to take about half the block and just stamp it onto my crushed curry. Okay. I want to get that. Oh, good. I did ink these up so they're nice and juicy. So now I've got my crushed curry on there. Now I'm going to go to my pumpkin pie and I'm going to take the other side and I am just going to stamp that on there. So now I've got my 2 colors. I've got my crushed curry and my pumpkin pie. Now I want to take my water spritzer and I just want to saturate these both with water. Okay, so we're just going to spray it and get that nice and wet. Okay, because we want these colors to run just a little bit. Okay, you'll see this is going to be a very messy technique. I'm going to kind of just let them run just a little tiny bit. And I'm going to take my paper and I am going to turn it over. Got a little bit of color on that. So that doesn't matter because that's going to be our backside. And I'm just going to take this and I'm going to stamp this right down the middle. Right down the middle of my paper. Okay. All right. So let me just go grab a tissue. I thought I had one on my desk, but I don't. This is going to be a little teeny bit messy, but that's okay. Messy is fun, right? Messy can be fun. All right, we're going to just kind of blot up some of this other stuff and wipe off our block. All right, let's clean that up better after. But now I do want to blot some of the excess from our cardstock. Okay, so now we've got this pretty stripe running down the center. It's a little yellow and a little orange. And I am going to take my heat tool and I am going to dry this only because I want to be able to stamp on it a little bit sooner. So I'm just going to take my heat tool real quick and just kind of just dry it up a little bit. But blotting it will definitely help get a lot of the excess moisture off. All right, so let's go ahead and just not a lot. We don't have to do a lot. We just kind of want to just kind of get that a little bit drier than it is. Okay, dry a little bit on the back so it kind of evens out and doesn't really warp on us. Okay, so just going to do that. All right, that looks good enough for now. I'm going to put that heat tool off to the side because we will need that for our second card. All right, let me just close these up for a minute. Okay, and then I'm going to take the Cajun Craze and our copper clay. I do like these two together. And I'm going to just randomly stamp some leaf images. So we've got our oak leaf here. And maybe let's put one down here. Okay, now I'm going to come in with our big maple leaf, and I'm going to stamp this in our, this is pecan pie. Okay, we're going to go there. Okay, and maybe we'll put one over here. Okay, see how I'm just kind of stamping them on, stamping them off, and then I have this little tiny leaf here. Okay, I'm just going to add just a couple more leaves. Let's see, we'll put some here maybe, and maybe some here, and maybe one more just right there. Okay. All right, and so now we've got our leaves on our watercolor paper. Let's go ahead and assemble our card. Let me just get a baby wipe real quick because I don't want to get ink on our card base and our other pieces of our card. All right. So, good technique. Maybe I should have worn some rubber gloves, but did you really craft if your hands aren't inky? I don't think so. All right, we're going to go move that. We're going to bring in our card base. Let's stamp our little sentiment, and let's stamp it in our, I do like our Cajun Craze. So let's stamp it in our Cajun Craze. I just think that looks really good with the copper clay. And this is just the sentiment that says, autumn teaches us that all things that change can be beautiful. Kind of like that. All right, let's go ahead. I'm going to add our piece of, let me move this. We'll need that again, but we don't need to get our other cards and stuff all dirty. So I'm going to go ahead and add this dog hair, pardon that. Going to add this to the inside of our card. Okay, now we're going to go ahead, because this is watercolor paper and we did watercolor on it, so it's a little bit bendy, I guess. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put on some liquid glue. I just find that when I use like an embossed piece or a piece that I've watercolored, it's just sticks better. It stays better if I use our liquid glue. So there we go. Let's go ahead and put that on. And let me make sure. All right. And then this is 5 by 3 3/4. So you're going to get that nice big border all around. Okay, I'm just going to kind of make sure it's relatively straight. All right. I'm going to put some adhesive on the back. And I'm going to come with some of our linen thread. Now, here's my little trick to always find the end. I cut a slit. I use a utility knife, and I cut slits in the top of my spool. And this way I can always find the end of my linen thread. So I know there were some people in another group I belong to on Facebook where they were saying they have a hard time finding it. I'm like, well, here's how you solve that. You just kind of cut a little slit. All right, then I'm just going to kind of put this in a figure 8, stick that on the back here. Okay, so it just kind of looks like that, kind of a messy little piece. And then we're going to add some dimensionals. Now, this piece I'm going to add there. This piece was sort of coming off my dimensional sheet, so I'm just going to go ahead and use that. I'm going to put one more over here. All right, there we go. Let's take off our coverings. And I love this because it's such a simple technique, and yet we never really think to do it, but it really gives you a pretty background, and it just is easy enough to do. Anybody can do it. You don't need any special skills. And there we go. And there we have our first card with our watercoloring. So look at that, how, excuse me, how easy was that to do? So don't be afraid to try a technique. There is absolutely no right way to do this. No matter what you do, it will still come out looking fabulous. So I have absolutely no special artistic talent. I really just stuck it on my block, spritzed it with water, and stamped it down. So go ahead and give that a try and let me know what you think. So our next one is going to be, again, a little bit messy. I'm just into messy today. Isn't that funny? I'm just into messy. I thought I had, did I not take my piece? Well, I have another piece over here. I thought I had cut a piece, but I don't know where I put it. Oh, I know where I put it. I left it over there. So for this one, I'm going to bring this back in, but I'm going to fold it up so that all of that other ink doesn't get on this. So this, I'm going to use blending brushes, and I'm going to use a lot of different colors. I'm going to use some orange. I'm going to use some yellow. So I've got pumpkin pie. I've got crushed curry. And that's why paper has two sides. I'm going to use a little Cajun craze. And we're going to use some cherry cobbler and even a little bit of mossy meadow. Okay, so can you see where I'm going? So now I have some brushes over here. So I'm going to start out with some mossy meadow. And I'm just going to kind of roll my brush in there and there. And then I'm going to kind of start off over here on my paper. And then I'm just going to kind of bring it onto my paper. Now I did use Very Vanilla. You can use Basic White, and you can make this as light or as dark as you want. I'm going to just add a little bit more over there. And my colors are going to overlap, so I'm not really too worried about getting a full saturation. Besides, in the fall, all of our leaves are all different colors. Let's go with our cherry cobbler. Okay, and again, this is pretty juicy. I'm just going to kind of put some on here. Okay. Again, I don't really know what colors I want. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to come in here with maybe some pumpkin pie. Let's go with some pumpkin pie. Okay. We've got some pumpkin pie here. Now this one I am going to put on a little bit more because I really kind of want that orangey, pretty orangey. And I'm kind of going over where some of my other colors are to get some of that mixing in there, and that's okay. Okay, we've got those. There we go. Let's go for our crushed curry. Okay. Let's go for our crushed curry. And again, I'm not really too worried about whether it's light or whether it's dark, because a lot of this will actually be covered up And then our last one is going to be our Cajun Craze. All right, I got a lot of blending brushes to clean later. That's all right. Flip this around like this. And now do you see why you need all the paper on the desk right now? Because we're doing two very messy techniques. All right. Again, I'm going to just kind of pull out my heat tool again, just because I want to make sure these colors are really dry. Okay, probably not on my nail though. Aren't these cute? I got these done for Stampalooza. Something fun to do. Although they're very summery colors and fall is Sunday, but they're the colors of Stampalooza. All right. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do some heat embossing. So I need to run our embossing buddy. I can get it out of its little bag. I'm going to just kind of run it over. And that's kind of why I wanted to make sure it was dry, because I didn't want all the ink to get on the bottom of, the cover of my embossing buddy. Okay, this is part of the embossing accessories kit. We'll see the rest in a minute. It's got the brush and the tray. All right, so now I need to clean my leaves from our last, because we're going to be using Versamark. So I want to make sure these are really clean. Make sure. Okay, that looks good. Clean up our maple leaf. Sometimes you really got to get in. I just washed all my chamois yesterday. If you don't know, I throw them in my washing machine. I put them in a netted bag and I throw them in my washing machine with like a load of rags or a load of towels or something that's dark. Don't throw them in with your clothes. And then when they come out, you don't even need to throw them in the dryer. You just take them out and put them back in your cases. But they get really clean that way, because sometimes, when you use them a lot, the ink is just in there. And you can rinse them, but they don't get as clean. So I just throw them in a load of laundry and they come out really clean. There we go. That one. And let's just clean our last little one. I don't know if I'll use this one, but at least we have the option because it's clean. So, all right, a little bit more. Ooh, this little bugger doesn't want to come clean. All right, let's see. Good. All right. So now I'm going to come. Now this one I've got to do really quick because I want to make sure that we get on our embossing powder before it's too late. So this one we're just going to have to trust as we stamp that we're stamping it in a way that will give us the images we want. Okay. And I'm trying to make sure that I don't move it around too much. So I'm just kind of get my maple leaf on there. Now these may overlap each other. That would be okay. I'm not really too worried. Okay, that one there. And then we'll put down. Put this one over here. I think that's good. Okay, so now I'm going to use clear embossing powder on these. Okay, so I'm going to just take this and pour it all over. Okay, get that back in the case later. Okay, now I want to make sure that I get it on all of my card. Ooh. Okay. Okay, and hopefully if we did this right, and we should have, it won't stick, or it shouldn't stick where we don't want it to stick. So this is where we have to be a little careful and just kind of brush it off of some of these places. So this is a little bit messier than I would have liked. And I don't know why it's kind of on all these other places. But we're going to Just kind of hopefully get it off of most of them. You can use both ends of your brush. That's doing pretty good. Let's try that. Okay. A little bit more over there. Okay. All right. We've kind of shaken off most of it. Let me just take this and kind of back over there. All right. Now we've got our heat tool somewhere over here. And now we're just going to do this until this gets shiny. Okay. And you'll see it. You'll see it when it starts to get shiny. Because it will definitely become clear. See, there you go. There you go. See it? It's becoming clear. We can't really see the powder anymore. That's what we want. That's what you want with your heat embossing. For that embossing powder to get shiny. That means it's set. Okay, but how pretty are these leaves going to look? All right, we're still not done. We've still got more to do. Okay, but let's make sure that we're all set. Okay, I'm going to go again from underneath a little bit to kind of help straighten it out. Now, we're almost done. We're going to come back in, and we're going to come in with our early espresso, because normally this is done with black, but I didn't want to do it with black for this particular project. I really wanted to do it with the early espresso. So same thing. We're going to load up our brush, and then we're going to go over. Now this is going to require a couple of coats because we want to have it be brown, right? And not have those colors showing through. So again, when you use the black, it is a little bit easier. It goes a little bit quicker, but that's okay. We're really in no hurry. I mean, I've got all day. I don't know how much time you have, but I've got all day. So if you're watching this on replay, which you all are, because as I said, I am not live. This is pre-recorded. Go ahead. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know if you've ever done this technique. If you like this technique, you know, what do you think? Are you going to give watercoloring a try with that technique I just showed you with the blocks? Okay. So this is what's going to take a while until I get it to where I really want it. But do you see how much these pop with the brown in the background? And once we put it on our card, oh, it's going to be so pretty. Oh, so pretty. And don't worry about it. We're going to wipe off the excess from our leaves. That's the beauty of the embossing, is that we can wipe off any excess color from our leaves. It just wipes right off. Okay. So it's not quite as dark as it is if you use the black, which is normally what you would do with the Joseph's coat, is you would use the black to really make them pop. But I, of course, have to be different because, you know, why be normal? Why do what everybody else is doing? Go off, do your own thing. Try new things, see what you like. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Is it doesn't come out okay? All right, then. At least you tried. At least you know. I'm like, I'll try anything once. Well, within reason. You know, anything legal, I'll try once. Or at least in crafting terms. You know, I'm willing to try new techniques and experiment and see what happens. All right, that looks great, I think. A little bit more color. Just want a little bit more color. You'll see some of the areas where we didn't get all of that embossing powder off. There is a little bit of like sprinkly colors where you can sort of see the colors underneath. That's okay. No big deal. We did the best we could. And sometimes that is enough. All right. Now I am going to cut this down a little bit to where I want it. Let me grab my trimmer. Again, these are all going to get packed up to go. So I'm cutting this down to 5 by 3 3/4. So sometimes this is like a little bit longer. How long is this? This is a little bit longer than 5.5. So I'm going to kind of cut it down to, I'm going to take a little bit off of each end, just because I don't want to lose all of one particular end. Okay, there we go. And I need 3/4. This is almost 4. So let's do 1/8 of an inch here. We'll flip it around. We'll do 1/8 of an inch on the other side. Get that out of the way. All right. Now that is the size I want. I am going to mount it on a piece of crushed curry. Let me get this out. Oh my goodness, I can't get anything today. Put that out of the way. Get that out of the way. Just kind of wipe down my workstation quickly. I do love this glass mat. It keeps everything kind of nice. All right. So now I've got that. Again, because I did the heat embossing on here, I am going to adhere it to my crushed curry with some liquid glue, that multi-purpose liquid glue, or green glue, or Tombow, whatever you want to call it. It is liquid glue. Usually I make a big mess with this, but I've been using it more, so I'm getting a little better with it. But see, you got a little bit there. But, okay, there we go. All right, so we're going to put this on here. And again, that liquid glue gives us a little extra time as we go to mount things to make sure that it's kind of where we want it. Okay, and I still got some, my hands are still kind of dirty. All right, I think I need to add a little bit of glue here to this corner because it's not exactly staying the way I want. Okay. All right, let me just go clean my fingers again real quick. All right. I need more baby wipes in here. I am almost out. Okay, and part of it was my fault because I actually forgot to go over this before to get all that extra ink off of our embossed images. It's taking me a minute to think. I'm trying to work and think. And you know what? I don't like that piece of crushed curry because I made a mess with it. So I am just going to take it off. All right, because I botched it big time. And because I used liquid glue, I can do this. All right. All right, let me cut one more piece of crushed curry that will not be messed up with the ink that I forgot to clean off. All right. So that piece of crushed curry is done. Let me just make sure that we've got that ink off. Make sure it's off my fingers too. All right. I'm going to put that off to the side for a minute. I'm going to clean off my board one more time. Let me grab some crushed curry again. And let's make sure that we are going to have a nice clean pink of crushed curry. Clean piece, not pink, piece. Oh my goodness. You can see I really botched this by forgetting to wipe off that card before I did everything with it. But that's okay. We have technology. We can fix it. And you'll see how I handle my mistakes, because we all make them. And it's not the end of the world if we make a mistake. It's paper. Everything is fixable. Oops, sorry about that. The fate of the free world is not hanging on our perfection. Thank goodness for that, because there's no such thing as perfection. We can strive to improve, but we will never be perfect in our card making abilities. And that's actually the beauty of handmade items, whether it's card making or crocheting or sewing or knitting, whatever you do, it will never be perfect because it's handmade. So don't stress out about that. Just enjoy the creative process. have fun with what you're doing, because that's why I do it, because I find it fun and relaxing. I mean, of course, I want my things to be pretty and I want people to like them, but I also realize that sometimes mistakes will happen, and that's okay. Because, it doesn't have to be perfect. All right, that's good enough. All right, now we're going to put our piece on the inside. I've got a piece of our Very Vanilla. It is 5 1/4 by 4. Our standard layers, our crushed curry was 5 1/4 by 4. So again, everything is really just our standard layers. Okay, we got that. Let's go ahead and put this in. And again, when I'm not using like an embossed piece or a wet, piece that's been, watercolored on or something else, I just use our standard Stampin' Seal Plus. I do like the Seal Plus better than the Seal. That's just a personal preference. All right, now I die cut. This is using the dies that go with that stamp set. I die cut a little sentiment label, and we're going to stamp. I am grateful, or I am thankful. I am grateful, with the grateful heart. I don't even know what I'm talking about today. And I am going to stamp this in our early espresso, which, as you can see, I have made a mess with this stamp case too. This is my messy day. Everything we did today just led to a big mess. But sometimes you just gotta let go and make a mess and have fun. That's okay. With a grateful heart. All right, now, again, I've die cut some of these leaves with the images in the stamp set, or in the corresponding die set. Sorry, wiping my hands on everything. And I'm just going to go ahead. I want to cluster these behind our little sentiment label. So I'm going to add some Stampin' Seal on each one. In the upper corner, I'm going to kind of stick and I kind of look at, as I do this, I'm going to stick that there. Okay. And I'm still getting messy things on here. We'll stick the oak leaf there. And we've got I don't know where all this ink is coming from, but you'll see. I'm going to stick our green one there. Okay, so I've just got a little bit of the leaves there. Now we're going to go down here. We're going to stick our big red one, and then we've got our orange oak leaf. Okay, we've got that there. Okay, let me see. I don't know what this is. I don't know if that's ink or if that's glue. And I had my glue buddy, but I don't know where it went to. My crafter's square is missing. Okay, here they are. I'm like, where are my dimensionals? Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and put these on. Right, I'm going to use our dimensionals. All right, and maybe one there, because we've got so much going on. Hold everything in place. I'm just going to put this right in the middle. Okay, right in the middle. Yeah, that's making me crazy. I think that's just glue, which when I find my crafter square, I'll take that off. All right, I think I might have packed it already. All right, so now I'm going to take my twine. I'm going to double it because I want to have a double bow. So I'm just going to kind of fold it in half, and I'm going to tie a bow. Let me put it this way. I'm going to attempt to tie a bow. It usually never, it's got to be a little bit longer. Got to have a little bit longer here. Okay, usually when I'm doing these and I'm trying to tie a bow, it just doesn't work out. I don't know why it is. When you're doing a demo, why things don't work out. There we go. Now I'm just going to trim these. Okay. All right. Pull that one a little bit shorter. There we go. I'm going to use my glue dots. Right, I'm going to take it. I'm going to add a glue dot to the back of my knot on my little bow. And we are just going to put that right there. And that is our second card. So a little bit long today because these were two pretty involved techniques, but I hope you like them. I hope you will give them a try. They're both very fun. They're both very easy, but they are just a wee tad messy. But I hope you had fun. Have a great weekend, everybody. Tune in to my Stampin' with Crafty Klock Facebook page over the weekend to see the fun that's happening at Stampapalooza. Have a great weekend. I'll be back next week with two card tutorial with Reindeer Days or the Reindeer Fun Bundle. All right, that's it for me. Have a good night. Bye.